Thanks everybody for joining Illinois Squash Halloween Yoga. It's a time of year where you can kind of have fun and be creative. It's also like a transition between fall and winter. So these are some things that I kind of like to do on my mat. And just thank yourself for coming to your mat. And yeah, if you want to try any of this, we can do more. You can do these in the morning. A lot of times you hear sun salutation in yoga. But check out like moon salutations. And if you want, there's just so much on YouTube. One of the things that's nice about doing it at your home is you can have your own props. So on my mat, I have like a blanket. If you'd like to like have anything to support you, I mean, you can have like a yoga block. Even if you don't have a yoga block, don't worry, because you can use like a book or a movie, anything that just helps you like come up so that you're not like dumping into your sides will be important. But for today, for Halloween, we're just gonna start in kind of some like zombie waking up poses. So we'll start in child's pose. And for child's pose, you're gonna have your big toes together and your knees as wide as your mat. And you're just gonna crawl down and put your head on the mat. And yoga is all about just like breathing. There's no like right or wrong, just like feels good for your body. So just starting in this child's pose. Deep breath in, deep breath out. You're trying to have your hips be heavy. They don't have to reach all the way towards your heels, but try and get in that direction. And you can be as like zombie or as engaged as you'd like. So you can push into your hands if you want to have a little bit more active. And you can kind of use that resistance to push your hips back. You could just stay here and like roll your head out, kind of just like, connecting with your mat. If you want to add on, you can push into your fingertips and bring your palms up so that you make these kind of like spider fingers. So my fingertips are on the mat and my palms are up in these kind of like spider hands. And you can walk or crawl or creep your hands over to the left side of your mat and kind of get a side body stretch. Keep your hips heavy so that you really feel that stretch all the way down your right side. Breathe in, stay for your exhale. And then crawl your fingertips, your little spiders back, and then go to the other side. So now creeping the hands all the way to the right side of your mat. You'll feel a nice stretch along the left side body. Breathe in, breathe out. You can be as vocal as you want here. Just make sure that you're connecting with your breaths and send energy to the area that you want to feel the stretch in. Then return to a neutral child's pose, so your hands are into the center. Breathe in, breathe out. And we'll start to levitate here, coming into all fours, into a tabletop pose. And we're gonna do some Halloween cats and cows, which is your hands are just underneath your shoulders, your fingertips are spread wide, your toes are curled under, your knees are underneath your hips, so you're like in a tabletop. And you're gonna arch your back, making like a U shape. This is cow. And then with your breath, alternate and bring your shoulder blades up to look like an angry Halloween cat. And claw your fingertips like a cat. That'll help protect your wrists. Plus, it's kind of fun. And just alternate between making this U shape and this inverted U shape with your spine. And there's no like right or wrong way. You can kind of have fun, be creative. It's Halloween. You can do kind of some C shapes with your hips. You can even do like circles with your heads and your hips. You can get as freaky as you like. Just kind of have some fun. You can kind of roll your shoulder blades and your shoulders. Just getting comfortable. You can kind of alternate one direction at a time, go the other way. And then we'll add some heat here. Now we're kind of having some fun. So come back to a neutral tabletop, curl your toes under, claw at the mat like a cat, and rise your knees off the mat. So it's kind of like a levitated tabletop. You can arch your back here too to kind of do that levitated Halloween cat. Just stay here for a couple breaths, and then come back down. That should have kind of woken up your core and your arms. When you come back down, kind of do whatever stretch feels good. Like I like to do some shoulder rolls. And just breathe in and breathe out as we start to add some movement here. So next we're gonna just straighten out our left foot. So we're kind of in a plank pose, but with one knee down. And we're just going to creep forward and back in this little plank pose. You can kind of feel your ankle warming up and your calf warming up. It's very supported though. And then we're gonna levitate that left foot off the back. You can kind of do some circles with your foot, just playing around with that and that balance. If at any point your knee wants a little bit more support, you can roll your mat over and do a double layer, or use your blanket or a pillow. Just make sure you're protecting any of your joints. Really clawing at the mat will help your wrists. And then once you've got that left leg all fired up, now reach your right arm forward. So you're stretching from your right fingertips to your left toes. Breathe in, really extend. Breathe out, and you can crunch it all together. Do that a couple of times with your own breath. You can kind of do that Halloween cat, with your back when you do the crunch, really coming into a ball and then exploding out, extending. Once you've done that about 3 times, come back to that neutral tabletop, lower your leg, kind of roll your shoulders, reconnect, that you feel grounded again. And then we'll switch to the other side. So now we'll kick our right foot back. And when your right foot is back, I just have my toes down, and I'll start to creak forward and back, getting ready to fly. When you're ready, raise that right foot off the ground, kind of rotate your ankle, see how that feels, keeping your neck kind of just looking a little bit in front of your hands so you keep your neck straight. And when you're ready, your right foot is kicking back. Reach up your left arm so that you have that full extension, you're flying. And then when you're ready, come back into that ball and alternate with your breath. Go as slow as you like. You can really be controlled here and get a nice stretch in your back, as well as a little core engagement when you do the crunch. Again, making sure that you just keep your head pretty neutral so that your neck's relaxed, and clawing into that finger to help your wrist. Once you've done that about 3 times, come back down to all fours. And we can kind of do some circles over our wrists to kind of thank them for holding us up. Just playing on the mat. Do some more shoulder rolls. We're gonna add on to that. We're gonna do some kneeling half moons for Halloween. So what I'm gonna have you do again is kick that left foot back. And instead of having your hips square to the floor, you're gonna put your foot down and have your hips square to the wall. And you guessed it, you're gonna start to crawl your fingertips up so that you're coming into this, kneeling half moon. So my hips are square to the wall. I'm, kind of having my neck straight, just looking either up to the sky if you want to challenge your balance, or just straight ahead. Feeling a really nice side body now going down further into my leg. And we'll start to, flap our wings, or we'll get ready to fly again in this. We're gonna bring our fingertips forward over our head and just come into some circles here. Breathing in and switching around. Again, you want to keep your body pretty parallel with the wall, not kind of dumping or facing the floor anymore here. And once you've done about 3, switch the direction of your circle. So when you come forward, come back up now. Remember to grip or claw the mat to protect your wrist. And once you've gotten to the front again, start to lighten your grip on the floor so that you're kind of in that spider. And then start, when you come up, firm up your belly until you can come up into this gate pose. And you can even tip so that your right arm is now back towards your left leg. And you can alternate with your breath in this pose now. So alternating to putting your right arm back down, left arm over your head, then levitating, putting your left hand on your left leg, and then bringing the right arm over. This is like a full body stretch on both of my sides, which is really fun. And it's a nice balance and core exercise. Go at your own pace, kind of have fun with it. You're like a tree in the wind. And then the next time you come down and you land, bring that arm back down to the floor and we'll square our hips. And that left arm that was doing all of the work, we're just going to thread it through the opening that we have and come down to relax on our mat before we switch sides. So my left ear is down, my left arm is like down underneath the opening I have on my right side. You can play around with this. You can like bring your right fingertips forward. You can do a bind, whatever feels good for you, or just stay like where it was. But I really feel this in my left shoulder blade. You know, we really did a bunch of circles there. So I'm gonna send my breath into that shoulder blade. Nice. And then your next inhale, come back to all fours and we'll switch sides. You can do a couple of shoulder circles to reset, kind of wiggle out here. And when you're ready, we're gonna stick our right foot back. And again, we're gonna square our hips to the wall and we'll crawl our fingers up into the air until we're in this kneeling half moon. And once you're comfortable here, start to bring your fingertips over your head and we'll do some circles again. Making sure you keep your neck pretty straight. Your hips are square to the wall, so you're not like dumping or facing the ground anymore. You're kind of levitating. You can look up if you want to challenge your balance, or just look like forward. Once you've done about 3 of these circles at your own breath, your own pace, the next time you come forward, go in the other direction. So once you come forward, you'll reach back up and back. Once you've done about 3, start to lighten your grip on the floor, and then you'll firm up your belly until you come up, and you'll tip your left fingers back towards your right leg. And you can alternate now with this gate pose and kneeling half moon at your own pace. You want to keep your fingers pretty light on the floor and light on your leg, and the arm in the air is the one that's getting you the side body stretch. Breathing in and out, kind of dancing in the wind. It's kind of a fun song for this. You might feel like a witch flying around. And the next time you come, your fingers on tips on the floor, you can square your hips to the floor. We'll land, and then we'll take our right arm and thread it through the opening we have on the left side. My right ear is on the floor. You know, if that doesn't feel good for your neck, you can just have your forehead kind of go as deep as feels good. And you can kind of play around. Maybe you like having your hand forward, or maybe you like having a bind, or you just can leave your hand where it is. But just breathe into that right shoulder blade now. Time you breathe in, come up onto all fours, and again we'll just wiggle around, see how we feel Now that we've warmed up our arms, our back is pretty warm, and we're gonna start to do a little bit in the legs. So come back into all fours. Your shoulders are right underneath your hands are right underneath your shoulders. Spread your fingers really wide, grip into the floor, and we're gonna do that Halloween black cat again. So tuck your toes and levitate your knees. Breathe in and out, kind of playing with this floating, levitating position. And when you're ready, we're gonna come into downward dog by rising our hips all the way and straightening our legs, keeping like a little micro bend in the legs still. You wanna keep your feet about hip width apart, and you wanna face your heels in a straight line, so don't let them like come in or out. Keep that active. And then you can just walk your dog. We're gonna kind of do some transitions from downward dog into lunges. And we're gonna do that by playing with a werewolf pose. If you don't like this, definitely just like step through into a lunge. It is no problem. But if you want to play around with this, I think it's kind of a fun transition. So we'll just get ready for that by lifting our heels up onto our tippy toes and then bringing them down. Tippy toes, bringing them down. Don't worry if your heels like don't touch the mat, like we're just warming up. Practice bending your knees really deep and then straightening. And then just always pushing really into your fingertips to protect your wrists. So now we'll start to flow here. So kick your right foot back, up into the air into three-legged dog. And breathe in, and you'll bring your knee to your chest, kind of like we were doing in tabletop. And as we're coming through to a lunge, bring your left fingers forward, and you'll kind of look like a werewolf on the prowl before you step through into lunge. So, if you didn't like that transition, do not worry, but it's kind of a fun one. And in lunge here, we'll just bring our lower our back leg down. You can untuck your toes. If you want any extra padding, you can just roll up your mat to have a double layer. You'll put your hands on your hips and come forward into this kneeling lunge. Try to keep your hips square, really tuck your tailbone so that you're protecting your back. So you don't have to be so far forward. Kind of tuck it. Breathe in and out. You can rise, lift your left arm up, and that will help you feel a stretch down your whole left side. So my left leg is back all the way to my left fingertips. And we're gonna cross our left elbow onto our right knee to do a kind of a twisted, kneeling lunge here. That should feel good on your hips as well as your lower back. You can stay kneeling if you like, or if you want the challenge, levitate that back leg off. You can go as deep as you want. Make sure your knee is behind your ankle, though. And at any time, you can always drop the knee if you'd like. Breathe in here and out. And then we'll untwist, coming back into that regular forward lunge. Put your hands onto the floor or just your fingertips, or if you want, you can have a block if you'd like. And then straighten that front foot for a counter stretch. So my heel is on the floor, my toes are flexing towards my face. I really feel this firing up my hamstring. And then we'll alternate between that. So coming back into a regular lunge, bending my front leg, rising my hand in the air, and then bringing it back down before I straighten my front leg. I like going a little slower on this one, maybe a little slower than my breath, but up to you. Go at your own pace. You really feel the leg firing up. You can give yourself a little self-massage on your hamstring if it's really tight. When you come forward, the next time you come onto your mat, don't straighten that front leg. We're going to switch sides. And if you'd like to play with the transition, bring your right hand inside of the right leg. So now your knee is kind of touching the outside of your shoulder. You can rise up your back leg. And if you don't want to try with this, we're just going to go into a plank still. But if you do want to try, touch that elbow on the outside of your shoulders so much that you can start to lift your foot off the ground and levitate into this like forearm plank thing. And then when you're ready, step back down into a plank. From this plank, kind of like when we were moving over our wrists in the tabletop, start to just peer over your fingertips a couple of times. And when you're ready, slowly come down to the mat. Once you get to the mat, just rest your head on the floor. You can roll it a couple of times. We did a lot of work there. So before we switch sides, just really breathe in and rest. You can do a little baby back bend with this cobra pose where you bring your shoulders underneath your elbows underneath your shoulders and kind of reach your chest forward. Ego, I love your mask. I just noticed that. Or whoever has the Star Wars mask. And when you come back down, just roll out your head, get a little massage. Another one that I really like to do is put my fingertips, at shoulder width, but a little bit further out, and kind of like that spider, fingertips that we were doing. Just my finger pads are in the floor, my elbows are up in the air. You can kind of like swim around like on the floor, and it feels really nice on my shoulder blades. So this is kind of like a swimming bat spider pose. See how you like that. Or if you have another pose that you like to do on the floor, feel free to do that now. Deep breath in and out. Next, after your next breath, return your palms right underneath your shoulder blades or your shoulders. Tuck your toes, fire up your legs so your legs are almost off the floor. Then breathe in and then push the mat away back into a plank pose. And from plank pose, then return back down to down dog. And we'll do that on the other side. Breathing in and out. See how your right leg versus your left leg feels. See if there's any difference before we switch sides. So now we'll kick our left leg out, up into the air. Wiggle your ankle if you want. Start to bend your knee coming forward. Bring those right fingertips into this werewolf pose before you come through and step into that lunge. Once you land, you can move your foot forward however it works so that your knee is above your ankle. You can put your back leg onto the mat to protect it. Roll over your mat if you'd like. And then put your hands on your hips and rise up into this kneeling lunge. Breathe in, raise your right arm. So now you're getting that whole side body stretch with your right side. Breathe out. We'll bring our right elbow outside our left knee into a twist. Breathe in. Feels nice on my lower back, my hip. If you want an extra challenge, tuck those back toes and levitate off the mat. Do any hand variation that you might have done on the other side. You can take a bind, you can open up, however you like. Breathe in, breathe out. At any point, you can bring your knee back down, untuck your toes, and then untwist your arms. And then we'll put our hands down towards the floor while framing our left foot. And then breathe in, and then once you breathe out, straighten that front foot. Flexing my feet up towards my face, my heel is just on the floor. Use a block if you have a hard time reaching the mat, or just keeping really light in my hands here. And then alternate back and forth between this lunge with my arm in the air for that stretch. And then when I come back down, straightening my front foot. I really feel this in my hamstring. My hamstrings are pretty tight, so I like to give like a little massage here, trying to loosen up my hamstrings. So go at your own pace. You can go faster or slower than your breath, whatever feels good for you. And the next time you come up, really breathe in. And when you come down, we won't straighten that front foot. And if you'd like to try that transition we did on the other side, walk your left hand inside of your left foot, and then your left knee will be next to your left shoulder. You can bring that back foot up. We're going to come into a plank, however you want to come into it. But if you try it on the other side, try again. Try to push your knee to your shoulder so much so that you can lift your foot off the mat and then come down into a plank. Nice. This is a hard pose because it's, needing a lot of core. So good job. You can kind of peek over your fingertips again in your plank pose. And then when you're ready, come down really slow to the mat. Nice. And whatever little back bend you did, do that again. So you can do like really light pressure in your hands, peel your chest up. Or you can just keep your head down, rock and roll it. I really like these like spider arms, bat wings, whatever you want to call them. I like to, put my fingertips into the mat. My palms are up, my elbows are up. Kind of like wiggle, dance around here. You can roll your shoulders, whatever feels good. And then we're going to push back from this position into that plank again. So fire up your legs, tuck your toes so your thighs are starting to come off the mat. My hands are underneath my shoulders. Breathe in and push the mat away. Nice. And then from this plank, we're going to come into a downward facing dog. Breathe in. See how both legs feel now that we've done a little bit of each side. And start to walk your fingertips back towards your heels. Walk them all the way until you're in a forward fold. From this forward fold, you can cross your arms and give yourself a little forearm massage if you like. You can kind of roll out the wrists. If your wrists are really sore, you can play with gorilla pose, which is where you put your full hand palm up underneath your foot. And you can do this by bending your knees as much as you need and then flipping your, like you're high-fiving the bottom of your foot. And then once you got there, wiggle your toes on your palms for like a little wrist stretch. You can try straightening out your legs as much as you want, but really just keep a generous bend. I kind of like this from hand massage. And then take your hands out, and we'll come into a flat back, pushing into the shins or the thighs or levitating the arms. Coming up, back down. Nice. From this forward fold, we're going to come into zombie pose, or just really, really slowly, keeping my hands down, we'll start to roll up like a zombie, one vertebrae at a time. My head is the last thing. My arms are limp. Start to roll up from the dead. And once you get to the top, roll your shoulders. Nice. This is our first standing pose we've done in a while, so really enjoy it. Roll your shoulders in both directions. You can have your feet together or at hips width. Rise your arms up. You can look up, look towards your fingertips. Make sure you keep your shoulders down though, so don't bring them towards your ears. Breathe in, and then cactus your hands, kind of like we were doing on the floor with that spider. You can do it standing, it feels really nice. And then breathe in, bring your hands up straight into the air again. You'll hold onto your left wrist with your right hand, and then you'll start to tip over to the right side. This is that same nice side body that we had and some of those other poses. Breathe in and come back straight. Then we'll switch sides. Hold onto your right wrist with your left hand. Breathe in and then tip over to the left side. Then make sure your shoulders are down. Don't let them come towards your ear. You can even look up towards your inner right elbow. Breathe in and out. And now we're gonna come into chair pose. So once you breathe your hands up into the air, you're gonna come into a squat or a chair as if you were sitting behind a chair. You can have your hands out, you can have them flying back as if you were on a little jetpack, whatever you like. And really slowly, we're gonna come to a seat. So, go as slow as you can or just meet me there. Slowly lowering your bottom towards the mat until you rise. And we'll come with our feet up into boat pose. So however you get there, do not worry. It's Halloween, have fun with it. We're gonna do a couple of rock and roll poses. So you can have your feet up. Hold underneath your hamstrings or underneath your knees. And you can start to rock back. And you might rock and roll, giving yourself a little back massage. You can play with not having your hands. You can play with having your legs straight, whatever feels good. A little bit of abs, a little bit of a back massage. Have fun with it. And then the next time you come up, we're gonna put our feet into this diamond pose. So it might be a little different from, when you really bring your feet towards you. You don't wanna have them that close. Bring them kind of out into this diamond, black widow, spider pose. Breathe in. Keep your shoulders right above your hips so you're sitting pretty tall. Roll your shoulders. You can give yourself a little calf massage here, feels good. Little foot massage. Just waking up your senses. Thanking yourself for coming to your mat. And then you can breathe in and fold over your diamond here. I can't go that far, so go only as far as you'd like, but you should feel kind of like a release in your hips, release in your shoulders and your head. And then breathe in, and we're gonna bring our legs straight out, and we're gonna do Dracula pose. So my hips are right underneath my shoulders. I'm sitting up very straight. My feet are flexed. Reach your hands towards your toes. So my hands are out straight. And then I'm gonna slowly roll back, Dracula pose. We're coming into a laying flat on the ground. My arms, my head will be the last thing. And once you get down there, cross your arms, give yourself a big hug. Dracula pose, very good. You can cross the direction of your hug if you'd like to keep sides even. Breathe in, open mouth, exhale, nice. We're starting to cool down now. We'll do a couple of figure fours or pigeon poses that are reclining. So we'll bring our right foot, our right knee up, and we'll hug our right knee. You can do some circles with your knee in both directions. Breathe in and out. And then hug in that right knee again. And we'll cross it over our left foot. So we're making a figure four. So my right ankle is over my left thigh. You can have your left thigh down, your left thigh up. And when you're in a position that feels comfortable, bring your hands through the openings that you made in that figure four. And you can hug your left quad, your left hamstring, and then push into your right quad. You can do a little lower back massage by rocking and rolling here. If you want to keep it static or still, that's also fine. Breathe in and out. Nice. And then we'll come into a tiny little ball, hug both of your knees in. And then however you want, you can stay in the figure four. You can cross your legs so that your right leg is over, or just have your knees together. We're gonna dip our knees to the left side. This is, the knees just one on top of the other is the most gentle. Figure 4 is a little bit more intense. And then the crossed one is the most intense. So however feels good for your body. Come into this supine twist. Keep your right shoulder on the mat. So whatever variation of the legs allows you to do that. My hands are out in a T, and my right shoulder is down.
Stood beneath an orange sky.
Nice. When you're ready, bring your knees back up. Tiny little ball, hug everything in. And then we'll switch sides. So bring my right foot down, my left knee up. Hug that left knee in. Do a couple little circles with the knee. You can do little circles with the ankle, go both directions. And then I'll cross my left foot over my right thigh. You can have your right thigh down, your right thigh up. Come into that figure 4. Bring your hands through and hug that hamstring in towards you. I like to rock here for the lower body massage, but you can stay static. And then the next time you come into a tiny little ball, squeeze everything together. We're gonna do a happy baby Yoda for Halloween. So you can grab onto the backs of your thighs, you can grab towards your feet, whatever feels good for this happy baby Yoda. Keep your tailbone towards the mat. So put your hands wherever will help you keep your lower back down. So if your lower back is arching, bring your hands to your hamstrings instead of your feet. You can rock and roll here too. That again is really fun on your lower back. If you want to take it further, you can straighten a leg, straighten both legs, whatever feels good. Breathe in here. And then if there's any final closing poses that you want to do, go ahead and take those as we're preparing for our final resting pose, corpse pose. And the nice thing about being at home is you can take your corpse pose multiple ways. So I'm gonna take mine with my legs up the wall for like a sleeping bat pose, but really up to you. So I'll help you guide in however you like. Come into a tiny, tiny little ball, squeeze it all together, breathe in, and when you breathe out, you can either come into just corpse pose, your feet are flat, your arms are flat, however you like. If you have any pinching in your lower back, you can bend your knees, or if you have a wall near you, I'm gonna put my legs up the wall. Once you get into your final resting pose, close your eyes, breathe in, open mouth, exhale. Close your eyes, relax your forehead. If you're clenching your eyes or your teeth, just relax your face and let it melt. Let your shoulders be heavy. Let your hips be heavy. Let your ankles and your feet just relax. You can either lay on the mat or up a wall.
And here is what I know now. Here is what I know now. Goes like this. In your love, my salvation lies in
You can stay here for as long as you like, and I'll start to guide us out. Start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Bring back some magic to your fingertips. Roll your head slowly from side to side for a little neck massage. Thanking yourself for coming to your mat. When you're ready, you'll roll over to one side. Doesn't matter what side. And you'll make a little pillow with your arm. You can have your fingertips, again, give a little neck massage here. This is fetal pose, rebirth. from the corpse, the zombie that we were earlier. And then push yourself up. You come into a seated position. You can keep your eyes closed here. Breathing in and out. You can bring your hands together at heart center, to your third eye, to your sixth eye, to your ninth eye, whatever animal you want to be. Breathe in. Open mouth, exhale. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming for Halloween yoga. I really love seeing everybody. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. And